All right, we're back in on Rasslin on Barstool. Brandon Walker again, and you guys have been listening over the past couple of weeks. I love all professional wrestling, but there's been no secret. There's been a company over the last couple of years that's kind of rekindled my love and has kind of stoked my fire for professional wrestling. It's all elite wrestling. It's AEW. I was there for AEW Revolution. I was there for AEW Dynamite. It's been fantastic. Now, I'm about to give you one. About to give you a guest. I always say there's a reason why we have every guest. We had Stone Cold Steve Austin because he's the biggest star in the history of the business. We had, we had Chris Jericho because he was getting ready for the tag match at Revolution. And now we have, here's my reason. If I were to buy short-term stock in the next year or two in one wrestler in AEW, it's this guy. His name is Lance Archer. He's with me today. Lance Archer is somebody who's been all around the world, but in my opinion, he's been doing some of the best work of his career here in AEW. I got him today. Hello, Lance Archer.
How you doing, man?
Doing very well. I'm not very good at intros.
No, it's all right.
I'm doing my best.
That's all right. I usually bring somebody to the ring and kill them, so that's my intro. You want to be that guy?
You want to kill me?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Well,
it says everybody.
I know.
There's no discriminatory there.
So I'm going to start with your catchphrase, Everybody Dies.
All right.
Because A, it's an incredible catchphrase.
Okay.
I want to know where it came from. But B, I can't believe that we haven't heard it in the mainstream more because Everybody Dies is pretty much the number one thing a wrestler should be able to say.
I didn't invent the phrase. Obviously it's just something that people say. Tracy Smothers was using it long before I was. So it's not really an ode to him because I just kind of started saying it when I was in Japan, not even knowing that Tracy had already been using it. Like I said, Tracy, long before I did, was using the phrase. And
a legend of the business.
After I started using it, people started mentioning that he was using it. So it wasn't any disrespect to him. It wasn't, in essence, an ode to him. It wasn't like I heard him say it, now I wanted to use it. But it was just something like the Murderhawk Monster, as the evolution of the Murderhawk Monster came along in Japan. I'd been there for 8.5 years. I used to go under the moniker the American Psycho.
Right.
And then I kind of decided to make a full transition into a whole kind of new mindset and character for the 2019 G1 Climax that started in Dallas, Texas. And so that was kind of when the birth of the Murderhawk Monster was. And so that's when Everybody Dies. Because I started beating up all the young lions and destroying everybody I could. And it was fun.
So nothing about your character is altogether pleasant. Think of being like Mr. Rainbows or Sunshine James or something. Just something funny.
Well, I'm always happy about it. So
as long as one person's happy.
The people that are getting a boot in their face, not necessarily, but me, I'm great.
So Murderhawk Monster.
Okay.
All right. So I know you were in Japan for a long time. You've been all over the world.
Right.
Have you ever considered that Murderhawk Monster might be too good of a nickname? Like there's like 3 things in there that are all pretty awesome.
Right.
Monster, Murder, Hawk, it's all good. You just put it all together.
Yeah, I always said it's just kind of fun to say.
It is very fun to say.
When people first started hearing it, in Japan you kind of get away with a lot more than you do here in the States. And I think for the Japanese, because they've had Vader, they've had Hansen, they've had Brody, and those guys, those guys used to go through the crowd and just beat the crap out of even the fans. And I used to come out and throw water at people and spit water in the air and at people, and they loved, like, people would make signs and hold up their kids, and that kind of went away as time went on. But as far as the Murderhawk Monster, it was just it was kind of in reference to the haircut. Like I said, when I did the big change in 2019, I changed my hair. I used to just have a full head of like crazy long hair, and then that was my opportunity, like I said, to mentally change, to physically change, to do everything I could to kind of start anew, because I was getting that opportunity. And so I changed the hairstyle and had this kind of crazy poofed up like mohawk thing going on. My style wasn't really to call it a mohawk. I was like, it was a Murderhawk. It's not a mohawk, it's a Murderhawk.
Created your own name for it.
Exactly. And then my style is very monstrous, so I was like, I'm the Murderhawk Monster. And that's kind of how it came about.
You're 6'8", 300, you can pretty much go by whatever you want.
Yeah, we'll say that for sure.
Yeah. So what do you think about that line in my intro? Like, I followed you in Japan.
Okay.
I'm a fan of Japanese wrestling, but I'm not watching every show. I'm catching a lot of shows later. I'm not as into that as I am North American wrestling, just because of time. It takes a lot of time and effort.
No, I understand.
But when you signed with AEW last year, you signed February 26, 2020, and I think you're doing the best work of your career from what I've seen. Do you agree with that, or do you think now we're just seeing that what you perfected in Japan?
I absolutely believe that I am doing the best work, and I think their motivation is there because of what AEW presents. And that was part of the big reason of choosing to come to AEW. I had an amazing relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I had an amazing time there. I could have gone and finished my career there and probably would have been very happy. but I've always liked challenging myself
Right.
and becoming a part of AEW, All Elite Wrestling, a company that was changing the business as a whole, in my opinion. From the very first time that the Bucks and Cody and all them got together and they were all in on it. And that event kind of changed the mindset of professional wrestling as the possibility of another major company existing. And then obviously Tony came involved and AEW was born, All Elite Wrestling. And the wrestlers that were coming over, you mentioned Chris Jericho coming into All Elite Wrestling, and all the amazing young talent that some were very well known on the independent market, were working in other companies, were coming to Japan and places like that. And now an opportunity was presented in front of me to join this company. So I saw it as a challenge, and every time that I see a challenge in front of me, I'm wanting to excel at it. Now, that being said, I absolutely believe that I was always believing in myself as the talent that was always there. But I think it's like you said, you saw some of the Japanese wrestling, but it was much harder to follow. You'd see it at later times, and that's the difference.
It's harder to get emotionally invested too if you don't put in the time.
For sure, and I think that was with the U.S.-based fans, the Western fans. That was kind of the same scenario. If you were truly a hardcore fan, maybe you were following.
You were
on a
bought
full
in,
basis, yeah. But I was kind of out of this element for nearly a decade.
Yeah.
So now here's the challenge to come and be a part of a company that's changing the business as a whole. So for me, it was absolute best opportunity that I could possibly have is standing in front of me, an opportunity to challenge myself.
Yeah.
And I think with those challenges, I attempted, and I believe I'm succeeding at stepping up each and every time.
Yeah, you really do, and it's. I again was familiar with Lance Archer, but I wouldn't have called myself a Lance Archer fan 2 years ago.
Okay.
But now, like every time you come out of the ring, I'm like, what is he going to do this time? It's just so impressive. But it seems like you're just doing these things. I think it's the best work that I've seen.
Thank you.
And I watch AEW. I've been a fan since the very first show, October 2019. And when you came in with Jake, I thought, yeah, this is going to be something good. And it's even surpassed my expectations. I think 2021 is going to be an incredible year for Lance Archer, the character in AEW.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be awesome.
That's my plan too. Without y'all's support, it doesn't matter really what I do. So the fact that I'm in essence impressing you, thank you. And if I'm impressing our fan base, which again, we have a roster full of people that are ridiculously amazing.
It's crazy.
I mean, did you see the match with Phoenix?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
That dude. I mean, it's hard to put in words how amazingly good he is. And I've been in the ring with guys like AJ Styles, Will Ospreay's, that top notch, beyond amazing. And Phoenix is right there and beyond them in many aspects.
But that's what's beautiful about AEW. There's nothing that I could say on paper. I look at a roster and I say, well, Lance Archer and Phoenix is going to be a great match. Two great wrestlers, but the fact that they can put it out there and then put it in the ring and it turned out so well, there's so many combinations that you just probably wouldn't think of, that you wouldn't, there's so many combinations, there's so many talented guys, and it even crosses generations.
For sure.
Like Jericho, Cody Rhodes, you big veterans of the business, and then you've got the Sammy Guevaras, you got the young guys. It's like, I guess this is actually what it is. It's like a wrestling nerd was just given a toy box or a toolbox of full of all the wrestling parts and just plays with it all the time.
Yeah.
And that's Tony Khan, right? That's
right.
He's just like a wrestling nerd who's playing around.
Thank you, Tony Khan.
Yes, thank you for also paying for my hotel room and my food. You're not a nerd. I was just kidding. He had said that beforehand. And anyway,
Tony, you want me to kill him?
He said something about Tony Khan's a nerd. Everybody dies. Make sure we get those over. Jake Roberts.
Jake Roberts.
He showed up first.
Yeah.
And he kind of was the foreteller of you showing up a couple weeks later. When he showed up, I just thought it's the coolest thing that Jake is here.
Right.
Now, over the last year, it's maybe the best pairing of manager talent in AEW.
Okay.
I know you got Arnie, you got Cody, you got Tully, you got FDR.
Right.
But Jake and you just make so much sense.
Right.
Did you know that beforehand?
I mean, there was discussion, obviously. There was a couple different options and things like that were put out there. But Jake, when it was mentioned to me, I was like, I think Jake and I, as a pairing, just on the physical side, his history in the business, his style in the business, things like that, I think that we fit very well. Now, I'm very different than Jake. His ability to speak is above and beyond the moon, but it's done in such a smooth, snakish, cool way. And my style is more chaotic and destructive, to say the least. But he's had a major influence on the few opportunities that I've had to actually speak, and that's helped me tremendously So yeah, I knew going in that it was going to be Jake and I, and I think for me, talking about the whole going back to coming from Japan, and like you said, you saw it, you knew me, but you didn't really know a whole lot. And there's a lot of wrestling fans, like I showed up in AEW, and there are people like, well, I've never seen this or heard of this guy, and I've been around for 20 plus years and worked for TNA at one point, WWE for one point.
Yeah.
And then some people were like, oh my God, I remember that guy from TNA, and I was like, that was 15 years plus ago.
But the guys that watch you in TNA and the guys that watch you in WWE, that's not a total different thing.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying the addition of Jake,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is Jake being my manager was somebody that could, in essence, reintroduce me to the American market in a way where, like you said, he's a legend, he's an icon, everybody knows who he is. Now they're paying attention to, well, who's Jake? Okay, well, who's Jake's client?
Yeah.
And then I come in, and like I said, whether they knew me or not, now they're paying attention to me. And then it's on me to kind of build my own name, with what I do in the ring and things of that nature. But the pairing is just consistently worked, whether it's facing Cody Rhodes or facing Moxley or whoever we're in the ring with.
You know what I like about it?
What's that?
Managers, and particularly heel managers, not that you're a heel or a face, I'm not getting into that. But
I just kick everybody's ass.
Correct. Managers are known for getting their hands dirty and for doing what they have to do to help their client.
Right.
Lance Archer and Jake really hasn't gotten his hands dirty. Jake doesn't really do anything to help your character gain any advantages because your character doesn't need it.
Right.
And Jake knows psychologically that's all he has to worry about because the physicality is all here. And that's kind of turning the manager relationship on its head because not a lot of people really do that.
Right.
It's been done before, but you guys are doing it at a very high level.
I'd like to believe so. I think that's been the cool part. Like I said, Jake was the voice for the monster.
So here's what I came up with this analogy in my head.
Okay.
You, Lance Archer,
Yes.
are a wrecking ball
All right.
that it swings in and tears down buildings.
Right.
When the building is on the ground, flattened, you look in the little car that's running the wrecking ball, and Jake's just sitting there at the wheel smiling.
Laughing, yeah, absolutely. I got that.
We could put that on a
perfect
T-shirt.
analogy.
We could make dozens of dollars.
I will give you none of it.
Okay, that's what Barstool does. So that works out perfectly. You haven't already made that shirt.
No, I haven't.
Okay, because it probably wouldn't. Works more as an analogy as opposed to a shirt.
I'd look funny as a big ball, just
Everybody dies, and it's just a
a
ball,
ball with a weird face
with
on
a
it.
braid coming off
Yeah.
of it. Speaking of the hair, is it tough to manage? Is it hard?
Luckily, I have a girl in Dallas who that's what she does. She's a braider, and she's
very good.
Yeah. She, if you follow me on Instagram, her name is Oh So Fancy, I think is her Instagram name. Yeah, she's amazing, and pretty much like right before I come out here every time, she puts a new braid in with different colors and stuff like that. So.
Now you have Dynamite last night, and then you have the pay-per-view this Sunday. You got to get double braided. You got to go back to get braided.
No. This is staying in for the entire trip.
Oh, and that'll hold.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty good.
For sure.
Do you have to sleep with it like sitting up?
No, I probably should do more. I just wear I actually take I take the AEW gaiter and wear it on top of my head to kind of keep it smooth.
These are the questions you have to ask because it's an impressive look, but it doesn't just do itself.
No, not at all, and I certainly couldn't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't know where to start. Of course, I have bad hair anyway, but
But she can take. Believe me, the blonde is the only part that's mine right now is the blonde, and it's not in good condition. So if you want one, we got you taken care of. We can get you hooked up.
We'll talk.
We'll get you hooked up. You come to Dallas, I get you taken care of.
You're in a ladder match. This interview is coming out after Revolution, but this is about ladder matches. My question here is kind of an inside the business question, which I don't understand. I'm completely a fan. This is a fan podcast for fans by a fan.
Right.
I've never wrestled in a match. I've never wrestled in a ladder match. I've never wrestled in any. What is the gimmick match that if you look on the board and you say, I'm slated for that it makes you go, oh, God, I got to do this? Because you're in a 6-man ladder match. There are going to be ladders flying all over the place.
Right.
You're probably going to be throwing most of them.
I hope so.
What's the match that you're like, oh, man, this is going to stink?
A stink? I don't know, man.
I don't mean stink as in quality-wise. I mean like...
To be a part of?
Yeah, your body.
I don't know. There's none that I look at and just go, oh, man, I don't want to do that. I think the more people.
I should ask the smaller guys this question. I shouldn't ask the biggest guy.
Yeah, I usually throw people into things.
Right.
I usually throw them off of things.
I mean,
I'm not usually the guy that's falling.
Pretty much
into
every
the
match is
stuff.
a ladder match for you. You're just throwing people.
Yeah, I'm
around.
usually the latter. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a dumb question. If we can get Jungle Boy and maybe Marco Stunt in here, I'll ask him.
I think for me, it's like if they're the silly gimmick matches, like if it like straightforward
on a pole?
ladder match. Well, you want a good pole story?
I would love a good pole.
A wrestling pole story. Sorry,
Okay, right.
Weird. So this was circa TNA 2005.
Oh, y'all love putting stuff on poles back then.
Yes. So when I debuted in TNA, I had basically a stick. It was supposed to be like a billy club, but it wasn't a billy club. It was just a stick, literally a stick, a wood stick painted black.
Where'd you get it?
I don't know. They handed it to me.
Okay.
And they said, "Here, your 6'7" ass needs a stick." Okay, cool. So we have these sets of matches, and it was me and Kid Cash and D'Lo Brown and Apollo. I don't know if you know these names. Well, D'Lo for sure, but Apollo, he's very thick Puerto Rican accent. So we're finally having this kind of blow-off match where they're putting the stick on the pole. And I'm like, okay, cool. We're getting ready for the show, and we've kind of put together the match. And I still have the stick.
You still have the stick.
And I finally, this is probably maybe 20 minutes before the show is supposed to start. I go, hey, do you guys want the stick for the pole? Again, this is just a stick. It has no holes in it. It has no screws
So
on
they
it.
haven't made any plans on how to get the stick.
How to hang this stick up there.
Okay.
So they take it and they finally some way hang it up there, right? So we get ready for the match, and the match has like staggered entrances. Like it's Cash was first, D'Lo was second, myself was third, Paulo came last. So, Cash and D'Lo, I come in, do something to D'Lo, we're fighting this and that. Here comes Apollo. Apollo like spears me or something like that. All of a sudden I hear this really thick Puerto Rican accent go, "The stick fell." I go, "What?" "The stick fell off the pole." And I went, "The stick fell off the pole." And I look over, and on the pole, sure enough, there's no stick on the pole. And I'm like, I don't know what, we were all just fighting. So at one point I go to climb up the corner where the pole is, I'm like trying to get the stick. And again, it's not up there. I'm thinking maybe at some point while we're fighting, they would have put it back up there. And it's not up there. And I'm going, what the hell, what's going on? And I look down, and one of the referees, he looks up at me, and he's holding the stick. He goes, "You have to touch the top of the pole, and then I'll hand you the stick." And I went, "What?" And then bam, somebody hit me.
Right.
And sure enough, that was the rest of the match. We fought, and finally somebody climbed up, touched the top of the pole, handed the stick, and it was over.
It's like American Gladiators. You got to climb up and touch the thing, or Double Dare. You got to grab the flag before you go to the next flag.
It was the most funny thing. Like, "The stick fell." What?
That
The
is,
stick fell off the pole.
That is, and
That's a horrible Puerto Rican accent. I'm sorry if it gets aired.
that's a helpless feeling, though, right? When your whole match is based on a gimmick and the gimmick just fails.
It's helpless, but it's also like it's a very WTF moment. It's like, wait, what?
Right. Yeah.
This isn't my fault, so you guys are idiots. That was what I was thinking.
Do you still have the stick today? When you said I still have the stick, I was like, he's still 20 years later. He's still
No.
That would be awesome.
Who knows? It might be in my closet somewhere, but yeah.
So 2021, big match at Revolution.
Right.
That's in the past now. What's on the agenda for Lance Archer in 2021 in AEW?
My plan obviously is to become the champion. Is to become AEW champion. I didn't come here to be a second level guy. I didn't come here to just kind of be a run-of-the-mill guy to show up once in a while, tossing people through glass windows and things like that. That's fun. I'll still continue to do so. But like I said, my plan was always, and that's part of the challenge that I was talking about, was coming to AEW, showing the world what I knew all along, what I had started to become as far as the Murderhawk Monster was concerned, and to become something that no one ever expected. I think there's a lot of guys and girls in this business that have that fire and that hype behind them, and people are going, yeah. I think to a degree, me coming into AEW was like, this is cool, but we don't know what to expect.
Right.
And I'm glad to kind of be pleasantly surprising a lot of people, including yourself. And I'd like to continue to do so to the point where I get to that championship, become that champion, and everybody goes, all right, damn right.
Are you mad that I said I wasn't a fan before? Because
No.
I'm a huge fan now.
No, I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad to pleasantly surprise people.
I don't want it to be awkward.
No, well, it could be awkward.
Very scared of it.
There's a window right there. I could throw you through.
There's two windows.
Then we can come back in.
I was going to say, I don't know why I said that.
Shane McMahon style.
Yeah, King of the Ring 2001. So I wanted to ask one more question. I meant to ask this during the Jake segment.
Okay, cool.
You and I are very close in age. We grew up in the same.
We don't have to tell people that.
Well, they don't know how old I am. I'm 31. He's 29.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're very young guys, good-looking guys.
Yes, for sure.
But we grew up in a certain era, watching wrestling and falling in love with the business. Did you fall in love with the business in the 80s like I did? Because you're 2 years older than me. I fell in love in 1986. It was Hogan Bundy at WrestleMania 2. I saw it in the newspaper. I was like, what is that? And I started watching Saturday Night's Main Event and stuff like that. And then I would fall in love with characters like Jake, Mr. Perfect, and on and on and on. But that's when I fell in love with the business. Are you a lifer like me, or did you go later?
Later. I didn't really start watching the business. My earliest memory of wrestling, and I wasn't watching it on a regular basis. I don't even remember why I was watching it. Was seeing The Undertaker put the Ultimate Warrior in a casket, and everybody freaking out because he was not going to be able to breathe in the casket.
Right, and it was scratched on the inside.
Yes,
yeah.
but I remember that, but I wasn't like a wrestling fan. I wasn't watching wrestling. My family wasn't letting me watch wrestling. It wasn't on the TV on a regular basis, so that wasn't when I was a wrestling fan. But when I really became a wrestling fan was when Sting donned the whole Crow persona.
Right, okay.
Because I was a big Crow fan.
So he was in the rafters and doing
Yeah, and this was like probably my sophomore, maybe junior year in high school. I can't remember exactly, but it was around that time.
Yeah.
I was really big into playing football. That was what I wanted to do.
Yeah,
but
quarterback, right?
Yeah.
That is the most shocking thing. I mean, you're just a big quarterback.
Well, I was a lot skinnier then,
Yeah.
but I could launch a ball flat-footed 50-plus yards easy with accuracy, and that was kind of where I wanted to be as far as athletics was concerned. And so that's when I became a fan, was watching Sting in the rafters and that year-long just in the rafters, never doing anything.
1997.
Yeah, just that, you always were like, where's Sting going to be? Where's he going to appear?
Here he comes here.
Yeah, and then when he finally started getting physical and this and that, leading up to the Hogan match, those were like, I was so emotionally invested, it was insane. And then, I got an opportunity to work with him in TNA. I hit him with a chair in one of his movies, so I could have quit the business right then. I'd have been happy.
Right.
Luckily, I didn't. And then now,
working with him again.
he's in AEW. So I've got another chance to hit him with a chair at some point, hopefully.
So that's a great, I like that you brought that up,
Okay.
that Sting got you in the business, because I heard last night that when Sting came into AEW, nobody really knew it.
No.
And he hit it in the trailer
Yes.
Until it was time to go out for his segment.
Yes.
And the guys are all in the back, and here comes Sting with his face paint on, and you guys are like, that's Sting. Were you in that group, or did you know previously?
No. I was in that group, and the funny part is, so you know how they tell you don't meet your heroes?
Right.
Because a lot of times they'll disappoint you?
Yeah.
He's not one of those guys.
That's what I've heard.
From the time that I knew him in TNA, he was willing to call me randomly and talk about business and give me advice and things like that. Guys, he didn't need to. He didn't have to. He didn't know me that well. And he did, and that was really cool. And now he lives in Texas, pretty close to where I live. So in essence, we're not like buddies. We don't hang out and go to dinners all the time or anything.
But you could.
We could. But I'm saying we're still cool enough that, once in a while I'll text, hey, how you doing? Everything good? And he'll text back and so on and so forth. So actually, fun story about that. So when I was getting ready to fight Moxley for the title, I reached out to a few people. Monty Brown was one of them. Minoru Suzuki was one of them. And they made supporting videos, Lance Archer's going to win this match, so on and so forth. I actually reached out to Steve because I didn't know what his situation was with the other company.
Oh, that's funny.
And he actually called me back and he's like, listen, and at that time he's like, listen, I'd love to do it, I want to do it, but unfortunately right now with my contractual situation, I can't do it. And I said, you don't have to explain.
And you thought he was talking about the other company.
No, he was at that time.
Oh, I see.
So
okay.
I got to fast forward story to that moment.
Yeah.
So again, I'm like, no problem, don't worry about it, this and that, da-da-da. That moment when he's walking through the back to get ready to go out and debut for AEW, he walks by and I see him and I smack him on the shoulder. I'm like, man. And he kind of looks at me and he smiles. He goes and does his segment, which I marked out more for the snow than him.
Right.
And then he comes back and whatnot, and I see him later. I was like, man, it's so good to see you. I'm glad you're here, this and that. And he tells me, he goes, remember when you called me? He goes, at that moment, I couldn't do it. I still was there. But 2 days later, everything changed, but I couldn't say anything to anyone about anything.
Right.
So.
It was now this company wouldn't let me do it.
Yes,
okay.
yeah. So.
I do wonder where they got the idea for the snow.
I don't know, but
Sting
it was
never
amazing.
did snow back in the day.
No.
But it works.
Amazing. It was the coolest thing I think I'd ever seen in an entrance in wrestling.
Yeah, it was.
Besides me throwing somebody through something. That's fun.
Yeah. Well, always put yourself over. That's the number one thing.
It's not snow, but it's fun.
Sting has been. I remember when it happened. You wrestled Moxley on the anniversary show, right?
Yeah.
Did Sting debut that exact same show, or was he
No,
debuted
no.
earlier? Right?
No, after.
After. Okay.
It was after was it Winter is Coming? Was that the 2 shows?
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
We pushed one back because
It was
of
the first.
Brody's.
It was the very first of December, December 2nd,
Yeah.
I believe. All right. I think we're good. Do you have anything you would like to ask me about anything?
No.
Talk about.
Did you want to ask anything about Suzuki Gun and all that? Your friends' questions?
So I was telling him before that I have a friend who's a big wrestling fan, and I always tell him who I'm interviewing, and he actually follows you guys everywhere. He was at the show last night. And he says, can I have his Suzuki Gun tracksuit? And I said Suzuki Gun, and because I'm an idiot.
I've done it before too.
Can he have the tracksuit?
No.
Why not?
Well, it probably would not fit him.
Big boy.
It's pretty. Actually, Suzuki, from like me, Smith, and even Shelton, when we were all there together, and we'd get the tracksuits, because I probably have maybe 15 tracksuits, something like that, because he would make them every year for us.
I love tracksuits.
Maybe that's too many, because I was only there 8.5 years.
You don't seem like a tracksuit guy.
Me?
Yeah.
No,
You're
I came for this for you guys. Otherwise, I would be wearing the tracksuit.
well, I didn't tell you what to wear. We didn't do a dress code.
But yeah, it was like, so I actually got the new one this year. He made new ones for this year and had one of the guys, Chase Owens, who's over there still, he brought it home for me and mailed it to me. So I actually got to wear it not too long ago, took some pictures and sent it to him and whatnot. And Suzuki's one of those cats, man. He took extremely good care of me my entire time in Japan, from the first time I wrestled in Japan, which was like 2007 on a small independent company.
Right.
I wrestled against him. Had no idea who Minoru Suzuki was.
Right.
I went in and kicked him one time, and he just looked at me really sternly, and I just went, "Cool, I'll get out of the ring."
Right.
I had no
Probably not
idea.
gonna do that again.
And then he was the Triple Crown champion when I worked for All Japan in 2009, and then fast forward to 2011 when I debuted with New Japan, they put me with him as one of the original members of Suzuki Gun. But yeah, those tracksuits are probably the cool. I mean, I have countless T-shirts and shorts and like I said, those tracksuits, which are the coolest thing in the world, and they're super comfy.
I think pardon me. I think the ability to go to New Japan, and hone your craft, make a new character, do whatever you got to do, and experience that is so unique in the sports world, really the world at large. Because like if you're a star football player in the United States and things aren't going well, or you want to get out, you can't go to like France and just play more football. It doesn't work like that. But in wrestling, there truly are two different worlds.
Yeah.
And you can go be a star in that world, come back. You can be a star in this world, go there. And now we're seeing, that kind of the worlds are kind of melting a little bit. You got to be excited about that.
For sure. To your point with going to Japan, like I always said, like if I'd have gone to Japan first, I think my career trajectory would have been very different in a very positive way, because I think what Japan did for me was teach me how to be that monster.
And no sticks on poles.
Well, yeah, no sticks on poles.
So I really think, especially now that things are opening up and you're seeing because I feel like, Americans going over to Japan has been a tried and true thing. Stan Hansen was a legend over there, and other guys were legends over there. I wonder if we're ever going to have the inverse where you have like guys like Okada come over here and make their legend, not him because he's a huge star, but make their legend first here and then go back over there.
Right.
I don't know if it can work like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. I think if you make a name for yourself in the business, whether you do it like here or
doesn't
one of
matter
the
where
other
you
companies,
are, right?
Yeah, because like you said, the worlds are colliding. The ability for fans to watch wrestling from all over the world, really at their fingertips, your phone to your tablets to your computer, whatever, your TV now, because everything's connected. I think that opportunity does exist. So like if Okada had come over back when he did, when he was at TNA and had become a huge star at TNA, then he went back to Japan, he would have gone back to Japan as that guy in essence. Or maybe not, just because it wasn't as visibly open as it is now. But now, like I said, if somebody came to AEW and became a huge star, but then went back to Japan, I think now they can be a much bigger star in Japan because of that same scenario.
All right, so we got Lance Archer, AEW superstar. He's been fantastic. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate it, man.
Good luck in 2021.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.